Hey, what's up everyone, and welcome to my second review for tonight, and this time I will be talking about VHS 2, which is the sequel to VHS, which was a horror anthology film from last year, and I love that movie. So I was very much looking forward to this one. I was hearing just like way better stuff about this one, even though I love the last one. It had problems, sure, but this one I was super pumped to see. So what did I think of VHS 2? Well, let's talk about the story. Alright, so the story for VHS 2 follows two private investigators that were hired by someone to go and find a teenage kid that just went missing out of nowhere. And the last place they saw this kid was at this house that, of course, was the house from the first film. And they go into the house, of course, they break in, and they find nobody. They can't find anybody, but they find a bunch of TVs just lit and just there, and a computer, and they find a bunch of VHS tapes. So, of course, while investigating the house, one of the the private investigators starts to watch these VHS tapes, and every time she puts in one, of course, it's a brand new story. So that's where your short films come in, and I won't spoil each of the stories. I like to keep those a surprise, but I will be talking about which one's my favorites and which one's my least favorite, of course. So that's pretty much the story. It pretty much builds up like that. They keep watching these VHS tapes and bad things start happening, just like the first film. So it doesn't really deviate from the plot from the last film. So there you go. That's the story. The main reason why you want to watch this film is for the short films, but are they good? There's 4 of them this time, excluding the wraparound story with the paranormal, I'm sorry, I keep saying paranormal, the private investigators, but there's 4 of them this time. But I have to admit, even though there's less this time, less is more, because all of them are great in my opinion. The first one starts off, you know, a little generic, I would say. I mean, it's pretty generic, even though they put a camera in a dude's eye, which I thought was really funny. They pretty much like, yeah, you want to drop that camera? You'll never drop it now because we put it, it's your eye. Yeah, so that was actually kind of cool, and it actually has a couple of twists and turns that were actually kind of cool, but for the most part it was still generic, but it had some nice scares and boobies. So, I liked it. I actually did like that one. I was like, alright, that was only like 15 minutes, you know, built some character, I liked the characters, and there were some good scares. I like that. Good job, good start. The second one, oh god, the second one is actually genius. I actually love the second one because I can't spoil it, but it does something that I don't know why any found footage horror film hasn't thought of doing yet. And maybe there is one out there I just don't know about, but if you see the second one, it's called, I think, A Ride in the Park. It is genius. It has a lot of gore. There's a whole scene where you see a camera viewpoint of someone getting their intestines ripped out and stuff, and that looked awesome. It looked so good. I was hungry. I was really hungry. Yeah, so it was actually really good. I actually loved that one. So I was like, damn, this is starting off perfect. Like the first one had some rocky moments in the first 2 tapes, but this one starts off perfectly. So I'm like, okay, it has to go downhill from here, right? The third tape is easily the best one. It's called Safe Haven, and this one is actually directed by the guy that did The Raid. And The Raid is a fantastic action film, but I was like, how the hell is he going to do a horror film? I don't know. Like, alright, The Raid was very horrific, I'll give him that, and it was actually kind of creepy at times, but alright, we'll see. And oh god, I don't want to say anything about this. Let's just say, creepy. Let's just say very creepy, and it has a great build up to something that's just like, wow. It would be like, you just go, if you turn off your brain, don't think about it too much, you will be creeped out. I thought that story was easily the best, and I don't want to explain too much. And the last one actually ended off pretty nicely too. I don't want to spoil it, but let's just say aliens. Yeah, aliens are in this too. Hell yeah, baby. And the last one actually has a lot of really cool, disturbing imagery. So that one's great also. Not much to say about that last one. It's actually probably the shortest one of them all. Let's just say a bunch of dumbass kids and aliens. You know, don't want to spoil it, even though the title kind of spoils it. It's called like Slumber Party and Aliens or something like that. So, yeah, I think that's what it's actually called. Slumber Party, Alien Abduction or something like that. So, that's the 4, yeah, that's the 4 of them. That's the 4 short films that you get in this film. So yeah, all 4 of the tapes were fantastic this time. I actually did not hate any of them. Now the wraparound story, I will admit, it's very similar to the first one, even though it has a freaking hilarious moment at the end, which I thought was great. Let's just say, that's all I'll say. That's all I'll say. And I didn't even say anything, I'll just do this. If you watch the film, you know what I'm talking about. But has a great ending, but it still has a very similar way that the last one ended. Hopefully that's not a spoiler, but still, you don't really care, do you? But it's not that great. It's not even that scary like the first one's wraparound story was. But the 4 shorts in this are great, and everybody did a great job. Hopefully they'll get a chance to do another one in the future for the next installment, or maybe the 4th installment. I don't know, but they did a great job. Also, the acting was a big improvement from the last one, because the last one had a couple of really bad actors, like terrible, like oh god. And this one, there's a couple here and there that were mediocre, but none that I thought were just downright horrible. And the main characters from all of them are actually great. I think all of them do a great job acting. So for the most part, I think the acting is really good, way better than the last one. There's a lot of gore in this film. Oh my god. Like, I was watching Game of Thrones the other day. I'm like, damn, this is some gory stuff. Then I watched this, I'm like, I am desensitized now because this is gross. Like I said before, there's a whole scene where someone gets their intestines ripped out and the camera's right up in there, and I was like, oh boy. And then there's people getting blown up and freaking eaten and stuff. It's gory. So don't bring your kids into this unless they're men like me. When I was a kid, I watched this stuff because I'm a man. I'm a man. So yeah, it's very violent. So if you're going into this expecting some violence, some fun, some great stories, some cool twists, that's what you're going to get from this film. I have really no complaints. The only complaint I have, again, is with the wraparound story. I just don't care for that. And some mediocre acting here and there. But it's still an improvement from the last film, which I thought the last film was great anyway. So there you go. I think this is a great film. Definitely go check it out when it comes out on DVD in a couple weeks, or on demand right now. You can get it off Amazon, and I think probably like Fios or something. I don't know. But definitely rent it. Definitely. It's worth a few bucks. It's a great horror film. Watch it with some friends. It's short. It's fun. It's highly rewatchable. It's genius in my opinion. So I love it. I'm going to give it a 38 out of 40. I really do love this, and I hope we get another one very soon, because oh boy, if this is the annual series, I will be very happy, as long as it keeps being good. So VHS 2, I loved. 38 out of 100. I mean, yeah, 38 out of 100. I loved it. No, 38 out of 40. Definitely go check it out. Thank you, and goodbye.